Hi there. In this video, I want to go over using an absolute reference in a formula. So you can see here in this example, we're going to do some projections. So we start out at a certain year, and then we want to see what our growth is going to be over the next several years. So basically, let's go down to, this is cell C7. And I'm going to start my formula always with an equal sign, so we'll do that. And then what we want to do in this formula is we're going to take whatever is in cell C6, which currently is 10,000, we're going to multiply it by our growth estimate of 4%, and that will get what is 4% of 10,000? That's basically what we're figuring out here. And then we need to add the 10,000 back in to get the total growth for the following year. So in order to make that work, we want to make sure to put our parentheses around this first part of the formula so that Excel does this part of the formula first and then comes back to add in whatever is in cell C6. Okay, so there's our formula. So we're taking 10,000 times 4% plus 10,000. So let's go ahead and press enter and we get 10,400. Now, if I copy this over, let's go down actually. So if I go to the next year, I get some hashtags. Let's see what it says. Okay, well, that does not look right. And the reason is, let's look at our formula. If we click up here, it's saying take whatever's in C7 times C6 and then add in C7. So basically it's taking 10,400 times 10,000. That's not what we want. We want it to still say 10,400 times 4%. So that's where the absolute reference comes in. So basically I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to take that, delete that one. Let's go back here. So an absolute reference allows you to point to a certain cell even though you're going to copy your formula down to different parts of your spreadsheet. So here, this is C5, right? So C5 is what we want to always point to. We want to point to that percentage. So if I come back up here, I'm going to click in between the C and the 5. There's a couple different ways you can do an absolute reference. You can use the F4 function key on your keyboard. I have a laptop, so I have to press my FN key first and then find F4. Or you can always just type in the dollar signs. So the key here is the dollar signs. So what does it mean? It means here the dollar sign is before the C, so it says I'm always going to point to column C. And this says the dollar sign here says I'm always going to point to row 5. So in essence, the absolute reference is saying even though you're going to copy the formula down into different areas of your worksheet, I'm still going to point to that particular cell. So that's the difference. So now if we go ahead, I'll just use the little check mark here. It still looks like 10,400, but remember that what's really sitting in the cell is the formula, and you can always see that up here at the formula bar. Now if I copy this down, those look like much more reasonable numbers, right? So in this case, if I click in cell C8, I can see that it changed to C7, which is what I want, but it's still pointing to the 4%. So that's why we use an absolute reference. It's very common to use these fixed numbers like this, but the absolute reference allows us to use that number throughout our sheet. And obviously having the accurate calculation. So I hope that that helps. Remember that the key here is the dollar signs in front of the column and the dollar signs in front of the row, and you can just type those dollar signs in. If you don't want to use the F4 key, just come in here and type in your dollar signs. Okay, so I think that's it for now. Take care.